Howdy, assholes. This is week, number 12 of the NFL Lay 'em on the line. And it was an interesting week because it was Thanksgiving week, which means we got 3 games Thursday. And then for the first time ever in NFL history, we got a Black Friday game. And then, of course, you had the games, and then we have a game tonight. So it was a fun week in the NFL. You had a little bit of action just pretty much almost every day. Let's go back, though, because we have a lot of games to go back to back on Thursday when we had a triple header on Thanksgiving. Do you want to take the lead? Because your team got a big Thanksgiving dub to start off the day.
Yes, they did, Sheets. Yes, they did. A lot of people wrote the Packers off, especially Vikings fans. Maybe two of them that are coming on later. But big win. Last week, I told you I have a note written down here. I said something about Packers splitting with the Chiefs and Lions these next 2 weeks. Mission accomplished. We've already got one win. It can only go up from here. So we're back in the hot graphic. Jordan Love's back to being still inconsistent, but apparently can be a pretty damn good quarterback at points. I'm pretty optimistic. That was a big win at Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I only had 40 minutes of free Wi-Fi on the plane.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I followed it as much as I could, and I'm ecstatic. This is great. We're back, baby. We're back.
It was probably the biggest win of the year, I'd say, for the Packers. Season defining thus far, I would say. And it didn't really take much time at all. The first play of the game, it was bombs away. Christian Watson had a 53-yard catch. So right away, I was like, dude, this is looking pretty good for the Packers. Jordan Love tied his career high with 3 touchdowns. And who knows? I think the last couple of weeks, he's looked a little bit more than just a guy who's going to be a career clipboard holder. He looked like a starter the last couple of weeks, especially this game. And, the biggest thing for Detroit was the fumbles. It was kind of a bad day at the office for Jared Goff. He had 3 fumbles. I didn't think Coach Campbell had his best game either. He's always a gutsy guy, and he's has benefited on a lot of gutsy calls this year. But he went for it on 4th down on his own, 20-some yard line. And I know he's done that before this year too. But it seemed like the luck was starting to run out there. And I'm like, dude, I think you're pushing it with this one, man. And that kind of set him up to a bad spot early on. They're still 8-3, but that one makes things closer. We'll preview tonight's game. Say the Vikings were to win, they're going to be closer in the division. So, it's not totally off. It's not totally written off, the division is. And then for the Packers, I thought it was cool to see Rashawn Gary, because that was this field I think he tore his ACL on last year, and he had, let me look it up. He had 2 forced fumbles and 3 sacks. He had 2 forced fumbles and 3 sacks, and that was the same place where he got hurt last year. So I thought that was cool for Rashawn Gary. I don't know. Thoughts on this one was that Detroit still has the best talent in the division, and they're still one of the more talented teams in the NFC, but they would need to stop shooting themselves in the foot if they're going to do anything monumental in the playoffs. And then for Green Bay, maybe this was the spark that they needed. Like I said, Jordan Love, I think, had a career day for him. So good for you guys.
There's no doubt that the Lions have the best talent in the NFC North. I can admit that. There's just no one that has the names they do. But I'm looking at Jordan Love's stats this year. Okay, 60% completion. That's garbage. That needs to go up. All right, that's not great. 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 picks. So as a first-year quarterback, I know he's older. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Should be better out of the gate, maybe. But if this guy was a rookie, we'd be looking at him a little differently, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But what do you think? Do you think he's proven himself?
No, he's not proven himself yet.
Okay.
Let's see how he finishes out the season. I've seen some very, very shitty games, and I don't want to see any more of those. So we'll let him ride this season, obviously, and then I'll let you know week 18. But
Okay. Moving along on the Thanksgiving action, I'll take the lead on this one here because we need to rack them. The Dallas Cowboys smoked the Commanders 45-10. I mean, Dak Prescott has looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league the last month or two now, I would say. I mean, they're kind of on a hot streak now, the Cowboys are. And I don't know. I think I just want to say this. You guys like to give the Cowboys a lot of shit each week, but we looked like one of the best teams in the NFL this week, the Cowboys did. They fucking shit stomped the Commanders, and their season's over with. So if you want to start the talk early, if you want to start, your write off board going right away, put them on there first to start this episode. The Commanders are done, and Sam Howell, I don't know. There is games I'm like, this guy looks really good, and now it's just like, well, I don't know. And maybe Riverboat Ron's time is starting to come to an end. Their season's over with. The Cowboys looked incredible, I thought.
Listen, Sheets, I thought about this game before because I knew, obviously, you're Cowboys' second team. We've gone back and forth. Are they good? Are they not? I am impressed. I am impressed that they can beat the shit out of these shit teams consistently. That does not change my opinion that I don't think they can win a Super Bowl. And I don't know if they can even win an NFC championship. And they're still going to be second in their division. But yes, they did shit stop the Commanders. And lucky for you, Sheets, good news for both of us. We already wrote them off last episode. So we were ahead of the game there. But yeah, they're fucked. They're done. We've said that before, but I don't know. The Cowboys, who do they play next week? They got the Seahawks.
Thursday.
And then the Eagles again on a Sunday night game. That'll be a great Sunday night game.
Yeah.
We'll learn a little bit more. I mean, we'll get into the Eagles a little bit. They keep just fucking finding ways to win. So we'll see how that game goes. But again, if they beat the Seahawks, they do have a winning record. So this is their first chance to beat a team with a winning record next week.
This is a big stretch. This is a fun stretch. And I think that we should beat Seattle this week. It's because, I mean, usually, like, when you play a Thursday night game, it's a short week. But both these teams have luxuries of having a full week off. We'll see. I mean, I'm going to talk about this game here in a little bit because it was the Sunday night game. We'll see what Geno Smith's injury status is for that game. But for the Cowboys, I think, these next couple of weeks, I wouldn't be – I'm not – I mean, those are big names on the schedule, but I'm not intimidated at all. I think we can plow through this next stretch here, and I think we're going to go into the playoffs cruising. I know that the front half of the schedule was a little light, but I'm feeling good about how we've been playing. And
hey, the Cowboys always come into the playoffs cruising, and they always fall off the cliff every time. But we'll see. They're hot. Your team's hot.
They're hot. Mike McCarthy is different than Jason Garrett of years past. So Mike McCarthy is going to lead us to the next level, the Cowboys' next level, I think. And he's getting there. He's getting better and better every year. People want him fired after his first year. They make the playoffs. He needs to get fired. And they're like, no, just chillax. And things are getting a little better every year. Ron Bland, man. Is he the best player in the NFL defensively? I don't know. Possibly.
He's great. Didn't he break the record already this year for most pick sixes by a defender in the NFL ever? And it's week 12 or 13, whatever the fuck we're at.
He did.
That's nuts. Where's he from? Do you know he played college ball?
Yes. I forget who it is. The name sounds familiar. He was a college name, I think. The one. I got it pulled up here. Fresno State. He was a West Coast guy.
Huh.
But I think he was a good player in college, I'm pretty sure.
He's a dog. They seem to find those guys. I mean, Micah Parsons was obviously a surefire, great defender, but then they find this fucking guy. They're kind of just building. They've always had names. This is the same. I keep talking myself into this. It's the same Cowboys. It's Dez Bryant, Ezekiel Elliott. They always got the names. We'll see, Sheets.
He's already breaking records. That's all I know.
Yeah, he's good.
Moving on here to the Thursday night primetime Thanksgiving game. It was the 49ers putting down kind of a smackdown on Seattle. It wasn't a total blowout. I mean, the Seattle had their moments, their spots there, but I mean, Christian McCaffrey was going nuts. 114 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that was just in the first half. Looking also at San Francisco, Brock Purdy. You know, he might not be talked about this. He might not be Joe Montana, but what does he do? He goes out there, puts up good stats: 21 for 30, 209 yards. He's managing the games. Not even managing games. He's winning games, managing them well. He's avoiding disasters, and he's making the plays that they need him to make. I think so. That's why I continue to put him at the top, towards the top of my quarterback rankings each week. And then the defense got after Geno Smith. Like I said, he was playing hurt, and they sacked him 6 times. And Seattle's offense the last 4 games has been pretty bad, and they're kind of on the downslide right now. That's why this Cowboys game, I think, plays well into the way Seattle's been playing. They're not looking very good. They're looking like a team that maybe might buck their way out of the playoffs. If they keep this up, they're a team that we were like, oh, they're going to be in no matter what. They're good. They're in Seattle. Well, now things are getting a little dicey now, I think, for them. And the bottom line is the 49ers came to play. Seattle did not, which was sad because this was in Seattle. You were at the game. Tell me about this one. What'd you see?
Yeah, I was at the game. I was pumped to just witness the Seattle crowd on a home game at a primetime night game. The crowd didn't disappoint, but that team sucks. And I know I kept watching it the whole time. I'm like cheering for a close game, like, you know, bring it back, give it a touchdown, all this, and they fucking suck. But my other takeaway, watching Christian McCaffrey live, is he's just so fucking good. I was just eyeballing him every single offensive play. I wasn't really watching. I was watching him and Purdy, which, again, great to see Purdy back on the field. That was dope. But the 49ers are legit. Seattle's not. I'm going to go ahead and say they're not going to make the playoffs on my end. We won't write them off. Obviously, they're 6-5 in second in that division right now, but probably going to lose next week. I think there's some teams in the NFC that are coming for their ass that aren't in the wild card race right now. But yeah, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Their schedule doesn't it get kind of tough too? I think they might miss the playoffs also.
They got the Cowboys, obviously, then the 49ers again, and you're losing that. Then the Eagles, you're losing that. So yeah, then they finish with the Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals. So they could rattle off 3 wins in the end. But I just don't. I don't think they get to 10 wins.
Yeah, I don't see that either. I think they're going to falter down the stretch. And I don't know. The offense just doesn't look good. We'll see. No. I mean, I don't think they're going to get to the finish line either. Moving along to the Friday game. I mean, this one, it was on TV at a convenient time. There wasn't much else. I mean, like the Iowa game was kind of just finishing up. So I watched a decent amount of it, but it was, I'm not a fan of the Black Friday game. We already got a lot of NFL, just the Thanksgiving games were enough. I don't think we need a Friday NFL game. I don't. And if we're going to have one, put it at night maybe, or give us some fucking good teams. The Dolphins are good, but we had the Jets, and that just brings down the whole experience for everybody. It doesn't really matter who they're playing because you got to put up with them. And then not only is it the Jets, they benched Zach Wilson, who is not good, but at least he's Zach Wilson. He's the kook hunter, and sometimes he can scramble around and make plays. He's an interesting quarterback. They fucking gave us Tim Boyle, who stinks, bro. He had 1 touchdown, 13 picks in college. I don't know if you know that or not. He played 3 years at UConn. He had 1 touchdown and 13 interceptions at UConn. Then
what?
I'm serious. His first 3 years, he had 1 touchdown, 13 picks. Then his senior year, he transferred to Eastern Kentucky his senior year, and then he threw 11 touchdowns and 13 picks. So, not as bad, but he was a turnover machine in college. The only reason they made the NFL, I remember when he used to play for the Packers. You know him a little bit. He's played for the Packers. Yeah. The only reason he made the NFL is because he's a super genius guy. I guess he knows playbooks like a fucking whiz, can break down defenses and He's a great guy to have like in the quarterback room, but he fucking cannot play the game. That's the thing. Is he'd probably be a great coach, probably a great quarterbacks coach because he's like a whiz, but he absolutely just stinks. And I don't care how smart he is in practice and in the quarterback meetings. If I have to watch him play, I don't want to see it. He was terrible, and it was a smackdown for Miami. Tyreek Hill was going off, and Tua, he had a shaky game. He had 2 picks. I think one of them was a pick six, but he still had some big moments too. And I thought he did okay. I mean, it wasn't his best game, but he was resilient. He was resilient. I'll say that. And then, like I said, Zach Wilson, replacing him with Tim Boyle is like putting a Band-Aid on a musket wound. It just doesn't work. And then the Jets, dude, they just invent new ways to lose games. They threw a Hail Mary before halftime, and I got housed for a pick six. And I was just like, dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, let's just get this Black Friday football experience over with. That was just what it was better served as another noon game. I felt like the NFL games were a little barren yesterday. I would have had another one there. I don't need Black Friday football. I just had Thanksgiving football hangover. There was good college football games on. There was arguably better arguably college football games on Friday than there were Saturday. I thought kind of. So I don't need another NFL game. What do you think?
I agree with you. I like my college football on Friday after Thanksgiving, the Iowa-Nebraska game. All the tradition, but if this did have Aaron Rodgers and the Jets were like good and they're playing the 8-3 Dolphins, I think this would have been a way better game. And I don't think you'd be bitching about it as much. But I do agree. The noon games on Sunday kind of sucked. But the Dolphins, I think they're pretty fucking good. I think they're definitely going to win that division, and they still put up 27 points on a Jets defense, which is very good. So I thought maybe they'd win this game. I thought maybe it'd be more like 17-10 or something, low scoring, but they managed to do what they do, find Waddle and Tyreek Hill and put up points. So who do they got next week? They play the Commanders and then the Titans. So they're going to be sitting there at 10-3.
Yeah.
Playing the Jets again. That'll be another big game. Mark this in your calendar. Christmas Eve, Cowboys-Dolphins, 3:25 game. At that point, the Dolphins will probably be like 12-3. So that'll be exciting. We don't have Jets on the write-off list. Can we write them off?
What's the record?
They're 4-7 in the AFC. They're going on my list.
If I write them off, that means I have to give up on the Aaron Rodgers playoff theory.
Playoff theory, by him coming back, you'd still be correct.
But is he going to come back, or would he just be done?
I can see him coming back just to show people he came back from a torn Achilles. Just be like, hey, I'm that guy. He loves that attention. But I think we write him off. 4-7 in the AFC.
Who do they play next week?
They play the Falcons. But
I don't know. Let me see what the spread is.
Atlanta -3. Tim Boyle might be starting quarterback, dude. We got to write the Jets off. They're not making the playoffs.
You can write them off. I'm not going to write them off yet. I can't give up on my – I can't give up. I've worked so hard into the Aaron Rodgers playoff theory. I can't give up on it quite yet. I'm giving it another week.
They'll stay on my list.
Okay.
I'll ask you next week.
They're right there. They probably should, but I'll give them another week. They're on life alert.
Damn right.
All right, let's go to the Sunday games here. We'll start off with my guys because like I said on my little ticker here, I think it's time to just end the regular season. We had a good NFL regular season. I think there's no better time than now just to end it. I think. I mean, let's just go to the playoffs. That's my thought. That's my thought. The Colts win yesterday, 27-20 over the Buccaneers, and with that win, we are now the 7 seed in the playoffs. There's no correlation with why I want the regular season to end. I'm just letting you know. It's just been a good run of regular season games. I think it'd be a good time to shoot this thing into playoffs here. That's just my opinion. Taking a look at the Colts a little bit more, I thought we outdid ourselves between Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, and Gardner Minshew. And those guys were balling. And we were it was interesting because we kind of were run heavy the last couple of weeks. Then really all this first half, it was like run or throw. We were kind of catching the Bucs off rhythm. They were playing the run. They were expecting us to run it on that first drive, and we were having Gardner Minshew throw the ball on first downs. It was really different. It was a lot different than we had done the last couple of weeks. That's why I like Shane Steichen, dude. This guy, he's not predictable. He just kind of knows he has different game plans every week, but it's still like cohesive. It doesn't feel like out of rhythm. I don't mind when we're mixing things up. I don't mind like if we're going to mix up our offense week to week if it works. And we're just catching them off guard. We had a big 4th down play and 4th and 1. And then I just thought it was impressive performance, both offensively, defensively. And hey, now the Colts got a little bit of a winning streak going. And the Bucs are starting to struggle. Are they in write-off territory? What do you think? What do you think about the Colts? What do you think about the Bucs?
We can't write the Bucs off. They play in that dog shit division down south. They're like 2 games back, probably, maybe not even. The Colts, your theory about going to the playoffs tomorrow, not correlated with the Colts being the 7 seed at the time. Is this just because you're maybe a little scared they're going to drop out of the playoff race? How confident are you right now? Like realistically, as a Colts diehard fan, how confident are you right now that you're going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year? Give me a percentage.
You mean if we have to stick to the traditional 18-week schedule?
Yes.
Oh, okay. If we have to follow that, we're probably not going to get there.
Really?
I don't think we're going to get there, but I'm glad that we're in the mix right now. At the beginning of the year, I was expecting a stinker of a year. I was like, 4 wins sounds good. Maybe 5, 6, or 7 at the best. 7 wins was like I'm like, if we win 7 games this year with Anthony Richardson, I'm gonna be ecstatic. I don't think we're gonna get that many. So now we're at fucking 6 right now. And even if we don't get to the finish line, I'm very happy with where we are. We're in the playoffs as of today. I was just saying, I thought we had a good run of regular season games. Why wait?
Yeah.
Let's just get this baby cooking. Let's get this baby cooking, huh?
Sheets, I don't know if you know this because you're looking at it. Well, first of all, I want to say I think both of us came into this season. Expectations with our team is we would be happy just to be in the playoff hunt by week 14, 15. Like give me the whole season to maybe give me a little bit of hope to make the playoffs. That's all I want.
Right.
I don't know about you, but coming into this season, that's what I wanted. So you're sitting there well. But the Colts, you got to start betting their overs. I've been betting their overs. Other than the Colts Patriots game in London, that was 10-6. I'm pretty sure like 6 in a row. We had in 20-27, 27-13, 38-27, 39-38, 37-20, 31-21, 31-20. You guys, did you notice that as a fan or a bettor?
Yeah, we're always in shootouts here. That's kind of the way Gardner Minshew plays, man, is he lets loose. And like I said, we were letting loose with him this week. We're kind of opening up the playbook. That's always been the traditional Colts brand. I'm a great defensive guy. I love smashing up defense, like low scoring games. I might come from my love of the Big Ten West, Iowa Hawkeyes, watching them all those years. But the Colts brand has always been different. And maybe I'll sound like a little bit of a hypocrite here, but I kind of like that way the Colts have historically played. I kind of like that gunslinger, Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. a little bit of hiccups in there. But now as Gardner Minshew's playing that same kind of way, the offense is like 31, 34. I mean, that's kind of the way we used to play back in the day. And the defense did their part just enough. And you still get that good mix of offense and defense. So Minshew, I mean, he's not the most talented guy in the world, but he's light years better than stink-ass Matt Ryan was. He's light years better than fucking bum Carson Wentz was. And I mean, I don't know if he's GOAT status like Philip Rivers, but between those guys last couple of years, he's a big improvement. He was better than Jacoby Brissett was. I think it's fair to say that too. I don't have a lot of animosity towards Jacoby Brissett. I won't call him names like I did the other guys, but I think he's better than him as well. So I'm excited to see what happens the next couple of weeks. We don't have the toughest schedule in the world. I mean, I'm not counting on us to get the job done, but we are in as of now, and I don't really know how. So if we just keep kind of this continue week-to-week thing going, maybe we'll get in there.
You have an extremely easy schedule. You play the Titans next week. I know it's a divisional game, but your favorite.
That's a trap game.
Maybe. But you have the Bengals, the Steelers, and by the way, Joe Burrow lists Bengals. Falcons, Aiden O'Connell, and the Raiders, and then the Texans, week 18. But you guys are going to get to 10 wins. I feel like 10 wins gets you in the playoffs.
It's favorable. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's favorable. As long as you don't muck it up.
Those 6 teams are, if you could draw up a schedule and say, I want to play these 6 teams at the end of my year, that's what you're picking.
Well, I mean, I'd like to play the Patriots maybe.
Yeah, well, you can talk about Tommy DeVito and the Giants too, but for this sake,
it's not a bad batch. No, it's a good batch. I'd say it's a good batch.
I'd like to see Gardner Minshew in the playoffs. I think it'd be fun.
I think it would be too. You talk about like a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think that was 2018. I think it was 2018. Blake Bortles is their quarterback, and they go on a hot streak, and they go to the AFC Championship game. I think Gardner Minshew, I'll put him fucking up with Blake Bortles any day of the week, if you ask me. So I think it's kind of similar if we were to get there. We got to go week by week. We're the Indianapolis Colts. We are capable of blowing this 1,000 different ways. So let's focus on this week. Like I said, I think this could be a trap game against Tennessee. Will Levis looks good. And right now the line is only -2 for the Colts. And 75% of the public has been betting on us right now at -2. So my hope is, okay, Tennessee covers +2, but we win by 1.
Yeah. Not good. That's not a good feeling as a fan when everyone's betting on your team on a -2.5 spread.
No, right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh no, it's not good. So hopefully that number bounces up a little bit. And maybe people wise up and start betting Tennessee. Okay. Moving on to the next slate of games here on the noon schedule. Like I said, a pretty barren, pretty lonely Sunday schedule here. But moving along, though, on our slate of games, next up I have the Falcons and the Saints. And this was a divisional showdown here. And it was the Falcons coming on top 24-15. Now, I told you guys weeks ago, I said, I don't know why you would want to bench Desmond Ridder for Taylor Handkerchief. And they did, and he went 1-1, I think. And then they just go right back to Desmond Ridder. And once they do, he wins probably their biggest game of the year. I know it's the Saints, but still they needed this one. A loss would have been probably done so for them, for sure. And even in the bad division, it still might have been done so. And they pick up a big win, 24-15. It wasn't a great look for my guy Derek Carr. It's not a great look for my pick of the Saints to win the division, but I don't know. The Falcons are right there, and I will say at least if the Saints blow it and I lose out on my NFC South pick for them, and I lose out on me hyping up Derek Carr, then at least I can take some solace in knowing that I was right about Desmond Ridder being the quarterback for the Falcons.
Sheets, I came into this season saying, this division is going to suck dick, but I'm still excited for them because they're fun teams. I no longer. They don't even need to play the rest of the regular season. We can end the regular season for the NFC South. I don't want to watch Desmond Ridder, Derek Carr, which we should bring up on Sunday. I opened my Snapchat and I said Peyton Meisner deleted a snap, and I was like, "What was this?" He responds back and says, "I sent a gif of Derek Carr, but then he threw a pick six, so I deleted it." So your boy DC and the Saints. What do you say? Are they still your pick to win that division? Or
They will win. They'll win the division. Yes, they'll come out on top.
Yeah, this division, I don't even. I might not even have eyes on one of these teams' division games the rest of the year.
You're not going to watch any of the games?
Maybe not the interdivision for these. Maybe when it gets close to wild card, then they matter. But right now, they're just.
These are good battles, though. I was watching a decent amount of this one. It was a good battle.
Yeah, I know, and I do like there's history in this division, but I just can't do it anymore. I'm done watching this division.
Okay, for your own health.
Unless the Saints wise the fuck up and bring out Jameis Winston as quarterback, then I will start watching.
You would watch Jameis Winston over Derek Carr.
Yes. I would watch his pregame routine, his postgame press conference. He's great for the NFL.
He's great for the NFL, but he's not better than Derek Carr. You can't argue with me that you'd rather spend an afternoon watching Jameis Winston quarterback your team than Derek Carr. He throws too many. He threw like 30 picks one year,
and 30 touchdowns with those 30 picks.
That's awful, dude. If you have to watch that as your franchise quarterback, that's just a recipe for high blood pressure.
Yeah, it's great. When it's not your team, it's fun to watch.
When it's not your team, maybe. Derek Carr is a great quarterback. I think he's on a trajectory for a Hall of Fame career, and they're going to win the division. That's all I'm saying. I did send a video of him. He had a nice throw. He had a super nice throw. And I sent you. It wasn't a GIF. It was a video. I sent a video of him. I was hyping him up. I'm like, not many guys in the league can make a throw like this. And I was like hyping him up. And then I'm not kidding you, I sent it, and then like 2 minutes later, I saw Derek Carr threw a pick six. I'm like, I gotta delete this before he looks at it.
I was dying laughing. I was in the car when I read that. I was like, oh my god.
Okay. I guess final thoughts on this one here is, the Falcons are now in first place. Is that right?
They're tied with the Saints. They're both 5-6. We don't even have a winning record in this division.
Right, but I think they're in first at the playoffs. I'm going to pull up the playoff.
Yeah, they have the tiebreaker over them.
They do. I'm going to pull up the NFL playoff standings. Because they would be playing the Cowboys. They would be hosting up the Cowboys. The Falcons would be. If the season ended today, they'd be hosting them in a playoff game in Atlanta.
That's so dumb, dude. Give me, just wipe out this division. There should be a rule. I think Big Cat may have said this. There should be a rule that if your team's not over 500, it goes to the next best team, and that's just fuck your division. See ya.
I disagree. That's a beauty of divisions.
Yeah, maybe there would be a part of me that I would miss the tradition of it, but god damn, I do not want to see the Falcons and Cowboys wild card week.
Yeah, hosting the playoff game is a little wonky. I think they should get they should get the playoffs, but I just like the way it is. I like it. Keep them as the 4th seed. They won the NFC South. They won it. They should host a playoff game.
All right, that's fair. I'll retract that take.
Okay. Moving along here in our noon games, this was a barn burner here. We have the New York Giants defeating the New England Patriots 10-7. Tommy DeVito gets win number 2 in the NFL. So now DeVito has more wins than Bryce Young. And let's see, does he have any? He has more wins than Aiden O'Connell, right? There's more wins than Aiden O'Connell. I mean, Jake Browning doesn't have any wins, but he has more wins than Jake Browning. Tommy DeVito shooting up the quarterback rankings list in my mind. He was a guy I'm like, this guy is awful. He's gonna be at the bottom of my list every week. He's passing a couple of guys along the way here.
It's hard to do it in New York right now. I don't like Tommy DeVito, the fact that they played the dog clown Patriots, but to win 2 NFL games with really basically no one around you except for Saquon, who's a running back, not even a wide receiver threat. Impressive. Good for him. He's not going to be around next year, but good for him. Right now, it's got to be a good feeling. He lives with his mom still.
Does he really?
Yeah, he lives with his mom, like literally, I think it's like 10 miles outside the stadium. She does his laundry, cooks his meals, all that stuff, which makes me like him even more.
That's dope.
We didn't talk about, I don't have these guys on the list, but we can write the Giants off, right? They're 4-8.
I don't know. I don't know if you can count out the G-men.
Tommy DeVito and the Giants. They're losing next week. It's an automatic loss next week.
Who do they play?
They got the Packers at home.
Oh, man. I don't think we can write out I'm not writing out the G-men yet. Not yet.
Okay, I'm gonna add him to my list. There's no chance Tommy DeVito's making the playoffs.
you can't count him out yet.
I just did. Wrote him down. Well, I guarantee you next week he'll be on my side. We'll be able to put him on the lamb on the line.
What about the Patriots? What do you think about them?
They're gonna get the first pick in the draft, and they're gonna get a good ass quarterback. Is Belichick gonna stay? They're gonna keep Belichick around?
Oh, I don't know.
They might. If they have the number 1 pick in the draft, and Belichick's in Rob Kraft's ear, being like, "Dude, I've done this before. Just give me another great quarterback." He's got to be great, but I could see him sticking around. I don't know.
I mean, he's not going to go anywhere. It's a matter of whether they get rid of him or not.
Well, I could see Bobby Kraft keeping him there next year.
He might. My argument was that he needs to fire him.
But would you rather see a Belichick-less NFL next year, or would you rather have Belichick still at New England?
I'd rather see him gone because they suck. I'd rather see the Patriots be good. And if you let this guy draft your team every year, they will continue to be bad. I don't know what happened with this guy. He's been the GM for a long time, but for some reason, his draft picks have just gotten worse and worse lately. And it seems like he's gotten more and more responsibility surrounding that actual GM role than he did back in the day. Back in the heyday, it just seemed like this guy's the coach. He's the defensive coach, coordinator, and the head coach. He's also the GM. But I mean, it didn't seem like he was really drafting a lot of those guys, and he had really had a lot of the financial side of things. He just seems like he's run this team amuck into the ground with the draft decisions, the trades. He's just fucked them as a GM and needs to go, in my opinion.
They do suck. It's a weird world seeing a 2-9 Patriots, but it's where we're at.
I know. Okay, moving along here with the noon slate here. This was another great. You want to talk about great divisional game? This was a great divisional battle, and the Steelers. And this is what I suspected. They fired Matt Canada. So I bet on them this week. I said the script this week is they look a lot better on offense without Matt Canada. And what do you know? They piled on their season high 421 yards, and they beat the Joe Burrow-less Bengals, like you said, 16-10. Kenny Pickett threw 4 career high season high, 278 yards, and Matt Canada did stink. Shout out Matt Castle, by the way. That was a former NFL quarterback. Matt Canada was the franchise first offensive coordinator or first offensive coordinator / head coaching change in the middle of the season since 1941. So it shows how bad you got to be either a head coach or offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator for the Steelers and get fired in the middle of the season. They haven't done that to head coach, OC, DC in the middle of the year since 1941. It's a team that shows loyalty to the coaches. Like that's what they're built on, is like loyalty, tradition, Pittsburgh. And they couldn't even cut cut another week of this guy, Matt Canada. So good for the Steelers. I like Kenny Pickett. I like them. I hope they make the playoffs. If it's not the Colts, I would hope that it's the Steelers.
I don't think you need to. I think you both could make it. Theoretically.
Right.
I think it's looking like the Steelers are going to make the playoffs now that the Browns and Bengals have lost their quarterbacks. This is a huge game for them on the road in Cincinnati in the division. This kind of set them apart. So you got to like where they're at. This motherfucker, Freiermuth, I've drafted him last year in fantasy. I had him a little bit this year in fantasy. He didn't do dog shit with him. They were just using him wrong. He had like 100 and some yards over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
It's like he's been there the whole time. And now he's gone. He's on someone else's team. I can't pick him back up. But I got a feeling he's going to be a real asset to this offense moving forward. The Bengals were on my list of write-offs. Can we officially write them off?
No, but they will be on the write-off by the end of the year, but just not now.
Okay.
Because if Jake Browning rips off a couple wins, we're screwed.
No, we're not. They're 5-6 in the AFC. They're in a tough division.
It's Jake Browning. Jake Browning was a Heisman vote getter, and he led Washington to a college football playoff appearance. He could lead Cincinnati to a wild card spot, I think. Hypothetically, I don't think he will, but hypothetically, with this record and his background, I wouldn't count him out 100%.
You've been Jake Browning too many brownies, Chiefs. They're gone. They're done.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, if you say so. Do you like this stat though about the NFC South? You're giving them crap.
Yeah. No, I actually read that and I was like, yeah, I've seen that before. That's an impressive stat. I'll give them that.
The Falcons have Matt Ryan. The Panthers went with Jake Delhomme one year, and they lost on a winning kick to the Patriots. And then you have the Saints, of course, of Drew Brees. They won a Super Bowl too. And then who's the other team in there?
The Bucs. They won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. And back with John Gruden too.
I mean, I would take a bet straight up with anybody that the team playing in the Super Bowl representing the NFC will not this year come out of that division.
No, well, maybe not this year, but with a stat like that, they deserve that. Go ahead.
All stats gotta end at some point. This is the year. All trends go down eventually. They suck. This division sucks. But it's a great stat by Jody Wagner. I do like that stat.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, like with a track record like that in that division, I think the winner definitely deserves, even more so now, deserves to get that 4 seed. If you're playing in a historically great division like that, then yes, I think that even if they have a less than great year, less than stellar year, say they win 7 games, 8 wins, and then that's what the division winner gets, I'll give them the 4 seed. I'd be fine with that. Moving on here with our Sunday games. This was a great noon spot for the AFC South. I thought that the AFC South dominated the Sunday noon window this week. This was a good game. I mean, you have 2 young quarterbacks in a division race. Jacksonville outlasts Houston 24-21. T-Law had a great day, 364 yards, and they win by 3. What do you think?
We fell into this trap where the Texans were going up and up and up, and we're like, yep, these guys are good. We forgot they're still the 5-6 Houston Texans. So this game, although the Jags, they needed this win because you don't win this one, the Texans are on your ass and they may pass you. They're going to win this division, but they're still frauds. I don't care. They beating Houston doesn't really do it for me, especially by 3. Good win, I guess, but they're right there at the Cowboys. They're even more fraud than the Cowboys. I think they have a less of a chance to make the Super Bowl than the Cowboys do.
I don't know. I mean, I don't like the only team I like to really like praise in the AFC South is Indianapolis, but I have to say I'm impressed with Jacksonville. I think you're being a little too harsh. Like I said, Trevor Lawrence threw for 364 yards in the air. And he's balling. And I don't know. I mean, they're the top of the AFC South for a reason. That's not a fluke. And this was a road game. I mean, it wasn't like this was in their backyard. They won on the road against C.J. Stroud, who everybody has been loving and loving. And the defense, they bent a little bit, but they didn't break, and they kept him in it. And then Doug Peterson, I give him. I always say this: he's a top tier coach in the NFL, easily. And he chose the field goal there. He made the right call, or he went for it. And when he got the call, he went for it. I thought he did. He made right calls down the stretch. I think you're just being too hard on Jacksonville. I think a team that could do some damage in the playoffs.
They are a good team. I just think their schedule is so easy. They beat the Bills, I know, but they got killed by the 49ers, lost to the Chiefs. And I'd love to see the running record of all the teams they beat right now. But I don't think they're not Super Bowl contenders. They're not going to win the AFC.
They could. We'll see.
That'd be crazy if I'm watching Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars when there's Mahomes and all the other teams in the AFC. But I suppose the weird world we live in.
So you just think they're just total frauds?
Kind of. I think they're going to get waxed in the playoffs the minute they play a sound team from the AFC in the playoffs, they're going to get waxed.
All right. Whatever you say. I think they're closing out games the way they should. I thought that's the way you want to close out a tough victory on the road like that. And that's the way you got to win games in the playoffs when it matters the most. I think Trevor Lawrence is impressive. On the road, at home, in London, he gets it done. He's a gamer. I like him. Moving along here with the Sunday games. Are we in the 3 o'clock territory now? We're going to be getting close. I think there was one noon game left. We're in the 3 o'clock territory. It was the Titans over the Panthers, 17-10. Now, I know you were really excited for this game. What did you think about Tennessee over Carolina by 7?
Yeah, whoop-de-fucking do. We're at that time of the season where some of these games are like they probably shouldn't even be televised. Might be bad for the sport. And this was one of them. So I good for Vrabel. I'd rather see Vrabel win. I don't really have any attachment over Bryce Young. How did he look? How did he play in this game? 194, no picks, no touchdowns either. Yeah, so I mean, they're both fucked. They're both written off on our list. So we don't need to spend too much time on this game, but
no, we do not. Derrick Henry had 2 touchdowns. That was about it. Also, actually, today, Frank Reich, breaking news, Frank Reich got shit canned a couple hours ago. I don't know if you saw that or not. So
really?
After this class, yeah. Frank Reich, season 1, right? He's only in season 1 there. I told you. He is. He's only in season 1 there. He is fucking awful, man. And there's reason this is 2 years in a row now. This guy's got canned mid-season. And last year he got replaced with a television host, a television pregame host who had never coached a lick in the NFL. And then he gets fired again. He gets rehired and then refired again 11 weeks into this year. I told you, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know his ass from his elbow. He doesn't know a ding-dong from a ho-ho. So I'm glad. I never wish ill on anybody losing their job, but this guy made me suffer for so long, and it just, I mean, it's good to know it's not just us.
Yeah, they suck.
Moving along with things here. Now we're in 3 o'clock territory. This one we don't need to discuss much either. Well, I mean, we can discuss it a little bit because the Rams are still right on the edge, and they kicked the shit out of the Cardinals, who I thought were going to win. I thought we were going to see a game where Kyler Murray just ran around and went nuts and like somehow won. But instead, it was a smackdown, and Matt Stafford, who I thought has been looking really bad lately. Like he keeps continuing to slide down my quarterback rankings. And Matt Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in my lifetime. I love him. And the fact that he's like in the 20s now on my quarterback rankings list, I'm good. It's good to know I can bounce him back up this week because he had 4 tutties. They stomp Arizona on the road. Arizona's probably like one of my least favorite teams in the NFL. I just hate everything about them. I hate their brand. I used to like them with Kurt Warner, but since then I just have not liked them. They've not aged well since Kurt Warner's retirement. And so I like to see this one. Matt Stafford, like I said, season high, 4 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, how about him, boy? 16 carries, 140 yards, and then also had 60 yards on the 6 catches for 60 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. I mean, the Rams are looking like I know it was the Cardinals, but that looked like the Super Bowl team from a couple years ago. Defense kicking ass, the offense going all over the place. Matt Stafford balling. That was cool to see.
Yeah, we'll see. Who do they got next week? Our good buddy Jack Klingel texted me. I can't hate him too much because he's like the Rams and Packers back in the hunt. I'm like, yeah, you're right. The Rams are back. They're 5 and 6 in the NFC, and someone's got to play in that 6, 7 seed. So they got the Browns next week at home. They're favored by 4.5, and then they have the Ravens, probably a loss. But then I feel like they can compete with most teams in the NFL. If Matt Stafford's playing the way he should, and Aaron Donald's out in the field, I feel like they still can compete with about anybody. You can't say the same with Giants and Panthers and Cardinals, but the Rams are a little frisky. I kind of like where they're at. It'd be kind of fun to see Matt Stafford get back there, at least be in the hunt in week 17, 18.
Do you think they will get back in to the playoffs?
I think they're going to be in the discussion. No, because I think the Green Bay Packers will get in over them. But if the Packers don't, I wouldn't mind seeing the Rams in there. But no, I don't think they will.
I hope they do. Like I said, I like Matt Stafford, and it's good to see them like right back in there. I mean, this is a team that you just wouldn't expect them like to be in the playoff on, and now here they are, 5 and 6. Credit them to that big win 2 weeks ago. They barely squeaked one out against Seattle, and like I said, that maybe that propels both those 2 teams' seasons in different ways. Seattle didn't look good last week. They could slide. A tough game this week against Cowboys Thursday night. Maybe the Rams replace them in the division, and they go on a big tear.
I could see the fucking Puka was a fart in the wind. He all of a sudden had made the league on fire for a couple weeks. Then Cooper Kupp came back, and now he's been quiet as hell. I could see something in the playoffs where they win a game because Puka Nacua goes crazy and they bring back that kind of storyline. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they will. I do think they could finish ahead of Seattle, though.
I think that's what we're looking at is a tale of 2 stories there, where Seattle blows it down the stretch and McVay gets it done, and they come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Moving along here, Denver continues to roll with a big victory over Cleveland, 29-12, and the Broncos are starting to surge. They did have to face Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who then got jacked up and had to get replaced by PJ Walker. But perhaps things aren't all bad for Cleveland fans because they did sign Joe Flacco. Now maybe he's their savior. And for the Broncos now, they're 6 and 5. They're above 500. I'm going to say it again. The Denver Broncos are above 500. They're 6-5. They were looking like one of the biggest embarrassments we might have ever seen in the history of the NFL. The way they started that year, it was looking like Sean Payton was gonna take this team into an even deeper pit. And now they're 6-5, and maybe they're on playoff watch. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough for me to buy in on the Broncos. They've won 5 straight, and I'm still sitting here like, man, I don't know if they're that good. They're playing well. I don't see them in the playoffs at the end of the year. I think this is a nice little run they have. I think it probably comes to an end at some point. Who do they? Let's see. Texans next week in Houston. Houston's coming off a loss. I could see them. Then they have the Chargers and the Lions. Chargers again. And a crowded AFC, I don't think they're going to be there. They're a kind of fun team to watch, though. Same kind of similar. Matt Stafford, older quarterback we grew up watching. Now it's Russell Wilson on a team that has some history. So be interesting if they made it. I don't think they will, though.
Do you think the Browns will make the playoffs?
I do not trust Joe Flacco, but they're already at 7 wins. Man, yeah, there could be 3 teams from that division, which is crazy to say. Yeah, they could. If the Broncos aren't in, I'm going to guess the Browns took their spot.
So you think one of the two gets in? Or 0?
Yes. No, probably one of them.
2?
1, Sheets.
Oh.
1 team.
Only
and
one.
I agree with Ball's Life Broden. He will not make it past 1 playoff win if he does. So
we'll see. We can move along here. The Broncos are surging. The Browns are still, technically in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We see those playoff standings again.
Yeah, I think they are.
They're the 6th seed. They would play Jacksonville on the road. That might be tough to get done.
We'll see. I'd like the Browns in that game.
The Broncos are still, they're 6-5 with the Colts and the Texans, but we have the tiebreaker over both Houston and Denver, hence why we are the 7th seed. Houston is now the 8th seed, and they were in the playoffs last week. I think Houston was in the playoffs last week. They got bounced out this week. And then Denver is 6-5, just a half game ahead of the Bills, who are 6-6. So, I think that means the Bills have a bye week this week probably. And then you got the Bengals at 5-6 there. And, yeah, we'll see. The Broncos are still right there. They could maybe get it done. I think it's going to be tough to pass my Colts, though.
We're not writing them off, but they may be written off here in the next week or 2.
We'll see. Moving along here, still in the 3:00 window here, we have another divisional matchup between the Chiefs and the Raiders. And the Raiders kind of put up a little bit of a fight there, especially in the first half. They made things interesting, but it was the Chiefs rallying. I think they were down 2 touchdowns, actually. The Chiefs kind of rallied back there and then end up winning by 3 touchdowns, 31-17. Mahomes had 2 touchdowns. I think, what's his name? Rashee Rice, the young guy. I think he had a touchdown too. But yeah, the Raiders, what do you think? Are they done? I don't know if I'm going to say they're done yet.
I wrote them off last week.
That's right.
They're knowing they're going to play the Chiefs and lose this game. They're 5-7, the AFC. We just talked about a couple different, your own team, 6-5, Broncos, 6-5, Browns. I wrote them off. I think you should write them off as well. Crazy. Did you know Rashee Rice is the first 100-yard game for a receiver all year for the Chiefs?
That sounds right. They don't really have much weapons.
That's crazy. That is nuts. Obviously Travis Kelce's in there as a tight end, not a receiver, but still. But yeah, I wrote the Raiders off. You're not ready to yet?
No, I mean not yet. Probably not a loss next week will probably do it for me. I mean they showed a little bit of spark, so I'm not gonna. I mean they didn't just fold. They were there in the first half and they blew it. But they showed some spark, so I'll give them another week. They're also on life alert with the Jets, who I'm holding on to for dear life. But I'll give them another week, one more, and that's probably it. If they lose next week,
They play the Vikings.
we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna keep them on another week. They're 5-7. If they won 5 in a row and went 10-7, I would hate myself. Made the playoffs if they did that. So I'm not gonna come out. And then we have another game. We have 2 more games, and then we have 2 guests we can get to here. In OT, it was the Eagles. Probably the game of the day, I would say, for Sunday. Really, I know it's not much of a bold statement, but and the game of the day was the Eagles in OT over the Bills, 37-34, and a walk-off. Jalen Hurts run it in for the game-winning score, and the Eagles rally past Josh Allen. Another tough loss for the Bills. I mean, people love to, pick on Josh Allen and blame him for every loss they had, but this dude threw it 51 times, threw it for 300 yards. He threw 2 passing touchdowns. He ran the ball, he had 9 rushing attempts for 80 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, when are they going to get this guy some help in the ground game? And also, people like to forget Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. This defense sucks. They give up 37. And they've given up big games. Their defense has been non-existent in a lot of losses this year. So I don't know.
They need wins, and they need wins now. They needed that game. So it's week 8 of last year, the first 100-yard receiver. That's even nuttier. But the Bills sitting there at 6-6. I think they're still probably going to make the playoffs. They're going to really need to fucking win these next couple big games they have. But I forgot to mention, just for you bettors out there, that Houston loss on that Matt Amendola field goal, you know what I'm talking about? They hit the goalpost.
Yeah.
An 11-leg parlay. That wasn't the finishing one, but the odds were plus 96,000. If that field goal goes in, I would have won $700 of my $996 bet. And it hit the fucking goalpost. Made me think of it because the last leg of the parlay was Eagles -3, which voided. But we have written down here that the Eagles are automatically NFC East winners. Is that I know you're big Cowboys and they're hot right now, but sitting there at 10-1, now beat anybody that's came across them. Are we sticking with that?
NFC East champs?
Yes.
The Cowboys have 3 losses.
Yes.
Who do the Eagles play next week?
Don't matter. I'll tell you, but it don't matter. They play the 49ers next week.
No, I'm not counting that out yet.
At home, though, in the link.
The Cowboys can still win the NFC East.
All right, that's going on my list. I'm still on record. I think they're just find ways to win. They're a lucky team. They're consistently lucky too, though, so it means something. The Bills, they got to get their shit together. Beck's in a fucking whirlwind with his head down in the toilet because he doesn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah. I hope he's doing okay. Beck, if you're watching, keep your head up.
We should get him on soon now to talk. Now that they fucking lose every game they play.
Yes, we should. We'll get him on here, I'm sure, soon enough. Let's go ahead to our Sunday night game. Like I said, we had a shit ass stretch of primetime games, and then more recently we've gotten into a good stretch. And last night's game was no different in terms of the new trend of recently good games. And it was the Ravens pulling away, forcing 4 turnovers to win 20-10 over the Chargers. Lamar, touchdown on the ground. I thought Mitchell looked pretty good as backup running back. I mean, they've been decimated, and I thought he did a good job. Zay Flowers not played well, but it was the defense. It was the Ravens defense who I think could carry them to a Super Bowl championship this year. If it's not the Indianapolis Colts coming out of the AFC this year, I think it's going to be Baltimore. I think Baltimore looks like the best team in the NFL, and I think they could win the Super Bowl.
I think they could too. I think it's time to write the Chargers off, sitting there at 4-7.
I think you're right.
I'll put them on the list. But the Ravens are really fucking good. I think they have a damn good shot at being in the Super Bowl at the end of the year. There's that stigma, though, about Lamar in playoff games. He doesn't really play well. I think he won. I think he showed out last year, though, and won. It kind of quieted the haters a little bit. But
Yeah.
they do look really good. They might be the best team in the AFC. I don't know about all of football right now. I would put the Eagles and 49ers ahead of them. But if Lamar keeps playing consistently well, like he has done all season, their odds are they're gonna be in the Super Bowl.
We'll see. I really think so. Like I said, if it's not Indy, I would probably go Baltimore in the AFC to win it all. The defense is just so good, and then like Lamar Jackson, I continuously put him, toward the top of my quarterback rankings. He's been number one for multiple weeks. It just seems like their year, and I think if they run into the 49ers, it could get tough in the Super Bowl. But when I look at the AFC, they look like the team that's just the best of everybody.
I would agree.
All right, now let's turn our attention to our Monday night game here, because tonight we are locked in for a classic NFC North showdown. Both of these teams, they're back and forth week to week. A lot of Vikings fans thought they were going to be done for the year. They thought their season was over. Captain Kirk goes down. Who knows what we're going to do next? They bring in Joshua Dobbs, and he could be the franchise savior. I don't know. He has them in playoff contention right now. Not only playoff contention, he has them in the playoffs as of today. Like I said, maybe it's just time to end this regular season. It's been a good stretch. Maybe it's time to go to the playoffs. If we did do that, which is what I think we should, they would be in the playoffs. Now the Bears, they're another team that likes to invent new ways to lose games. They were up 12 against the Lions. They fumbled the ball away. They fumbled that game away. Justin Fields is kind of back. What I'm trying to say is this game has got some good storylines, even if it's not between two absolute powerhouses. You got a team who is trying to propel their way into the playoffs through the face of adversity, and you got the Bears who are still the Bears, but they're kind of in games even when they shouldn't be. So we got two Vikings guests coming on our way today. We have Broden Coulter and Ryan Stolken joining us today.
Josh Dobbs, baby.
Oh my God. What is that? Is that tape over your eyebrows?
I shaved them. No, it's Band-Aids.
Oh my God, that looks legit.
Hey, I'm ready to go tonight.
Josh Dobbs. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. Are you guys scared?
No.
A little bit. Just because of the script. That's what scares me a little bit. With all the tickets coming in on the Vikings. No Justin Jefferson. Justin Fields is kind of playing for his spot next year. It scares me a little bit.
The script favors us. They need the Pasternaut story to keep going.
Well, I guess I meant like the handle. There's just a ton of money on the Vikings, and then there's that stat that there's never been 13 favorites that have won in 1 week before in NFL history. So I don't know. It's just scary.
You should be a little scared with the Packers sniffing your ass right now. We're just right behind you on the ladder. If you lose tonight, that means a lot. And kind of like Meisner and I touched earlier, the trajectory of people's seasons are kind of getting figured out right now. If the Vikings go ahead and lose with that no eyebrow looking motherfucker, then we're right there in the driver's seat.
So yeah, I don't know. Tonight's big night. There's a bye week next week. So I think you got to go into that bye on a high note. You're going to get Justin Jefferson back. We got an easy schedule coming up. We get the shit Packers again. I think we can I think we split with the Lions.
I think we win both the Lions.
NFC North is still there for the Vikings to win.
The Lions are not what people think they are. People hold
Oh,
too much
really?
weight for that Chiefs win without Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, I do think
mean,
the Lions are a little overrated.
all
I think
their
at worst we split with the Lions.
They lost to the Seahawks, who are 7th seed currently. They got shit stopped by the Ravens, who are juggernaut status. And I mean, their only good win is the Chiefs, without Travis Kelce by 1.
And I think the Chiefs kind of stink.
Yeah,
I know Mir's watching.
they don't have a statement win outside of that Chiefs game and that has an asterisk all year.
I don't think you're going to
And
win.
they should have lost last week.
No, I'm not saying I think we're going to win the division, but I think it's there. There's a chance. But
yeah,
I am really worried. I'm really worried about the decline of Josh Dobbs. I think at some point he's going to come back down to earth, and that's when it's going to get scary. But with that, you're going to get the best player in the NFL back in 2 weeks. So
yes, that
could help.
Jordan Love plays in green.
I said this about Jaron Hall from the beginning. He is set up perfectly in this offense, and he's smart. And so I think everyone goes off his Cardinals days, and that team blows. He has one of the top O-lines, one of the best defenses. He's doing this without Justin Jefferson. So get Justin Jefferson back after the bye week with an easy schedule going. I mean, the only above 500 team are the Lions, who are very, very beatable.
Yeah.
And he can decline a little bit, and he's still going to be good.
Yeah, for sure has the weapons to get it done. But, God, some of those decisions that he made in that Broncos game were like, holy shit, dude. And if KOC does that bullshit where he puts the tight end under center and fucking pitches it to Josh Dobbs again, dumb. Oh, my God. That was horrible.
Where are you at with Kevin O'Connell? What are your thoughts on him as your head coach?
Oh, I like him. It's a good coach.
He's got to work out his kinks. Last week was one of them.
If I offered you two Vikings fans the next 10 years, but you can't fire him, he can't quit, you can't get rid of him, but Kevin O'Connell's the coach for the next 10 years, are you taking that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He could very well be the next coach 10 years.
I'm happy with that. I think his relationship with Kwesi, I think they're like best buddies. So, I mean, that's a good sign.
Are the Vikings winning a Super Bowl in the next 10 years?
Oh, God. I mean, I want to sit here and say I hope so, but I doubt it. It all depends on what the scriptwriters want. We have no control. Nobody has any control.
That's very true. That's very true. That's why I like Ed Sulkin on the show, because he gets how the NFL works, how it operates, and so it's good to have like minds on the show. My question is, I mean, we had both of you on in recent weeks. At the time of Kirk's injuries, it was kind of just like, I know we're kind of still around the playoff hunt area. Let's just think it up and move on next year, either get Kirk again or draft a guy. But now you're winning games. Now the division, like Stogan said, is there. It's still there. It's looking better than it was a couple weeks ago. Way better for you guys. So my question is, like, as a fan who was kind of maybe thinking about packing up a couple weeks ago, say you were to lose tonight, like you said, it could happen. Say you were to lose tonight, is that the worst thing in the world? Are you going to be super upset, or is it just like? I mean, a loss wouldn't be necessarily out, but it would be closer. So, I guess want to know what your thoughts are and what would happen if they were to lose tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I would say tonight's a huge night. I think if you can get to 7-5, because even with that loss to Denver, they still had like an 80% probability to make the playoffs. I think the ceiling for this team would be one playoff win. I'm happy if they just make the playoffs. I'm very excited about that. I think if you win tonight, it's almost, I don't want to say a lock, but it's almost a lock to make the playoffs. So tonight's a huge night. If you can go into that bye week on a high note, and then whatever happens out of the bye happens, I think tonight's big. If they lose tonight, I'm going to lose a lot of hope. But if they win tonight, I'm going to feel really good. and it's against the shitty Bears. I mean, if the Bears want to win tonight, they need to bring back Mitch Trubisky. We couldn't beat Mitch Trubisky.
This Bears team is bad.
I don't think
They
the
are
Bears
bad.
really. I don't think the Bears really want to win. I mean, what's the reason to win for them? There's nothing to win for.
There isn't. But two notes. One note is last time you were on, Stolken, you wanted J.J. McCarthy. You said he was the future of Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
He's bad.
He is the future of Minnesota. Yes.
No,
Okay.
dude.
Anyways, that was just one quick point. Broden, I think you said one of you two actually said like back up the season, let's tank for Caleb Williams.
I did not say that.
Was that you, Stolken?
I don't know if I said it on the pod, but I've definitely said that. Yeah, after Kirk went down, or after they started 1-4 or whatever.
So, Broden, you've been all in then this whole season. You've had hope the whole season.
Yeah.
Stolken mentioned his ceiling for the Vikings. What's your ceiling?
Let's see. Let me look at the playoff picture right now.
Nope, you shouldn't have to answer this question.
I think you can win 2 games, nothing past that.
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
That'd be really tough, I think. But hey,
I think
that's a good ceiling.
The schedule and the seeding wise, it's the 4 seed is the Falcons. And then we already beat the Niners and then the Lions. So like Lions, Vikings flip flop. We're not going to win in San Francisco, but you can win 2 games. If you win the NFC, to win that, we'd probably be the 3 seed. Flip flop with the Lions, that's the Lions. So then and if say they shit the bed the rest of the way and they don't make the playoffs, then you got the Seahawks, the Rams, the Packers.
You can't beat the Green Machine.
You can win 2 games. What?
You can't just throw the Packers out there like that's a dub in the playoffs. We would eat your lunch if we played you in the
So now
playoffs.
you're back in on the Packers now. You were all out on them.
Yes, I was. There's one episode. There's 1 week. I had a little temper tantrum. I was pissed off at the world. I was out. But I also said in that same podcast, I tend to flip flop just very quickly. I've got fuses, and I was quickly back on. I talked myself back into it. So I'm all
this is
in.
exactly, you are the script writer's favorite human because they can just change your mind every week. They lose, you're out on them, then they can flip you right back.
Hey, buddy, I write the script. I'm not listening to it. I can fucking tell you what's going to happen, and I can tell you right now, the Vikings will make the playoffs, maybe win 1 game, maybe not.
I'm just
probably
happy
not.
If they just make the playoffs, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll be happy for the playoffs starting 1-4, but I think they can win a game, maybe 2.
Do you think the Packers are in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, there won't be 3 NFC North teams in the playoffs.
I do think because who's in the
Let's look at their schedule.
who's in the wild card spots right now? The Vikings, Seahawks,
And Cowboys.
I think the Seahawks stink. If the Packers were to get in, the Seahawks would be out.
I mean, all the teams below. I mean, after the Cowboys, Vikings are 6 right now. I think the Vikings are better than Seahawks. No bias.
Yeah, I don't
know
think
that
the
is
Seahawks
biased,
are
but I think
very
the Seahawks are not very good. Geno's coming back down to earth this year. But after that, Packers are bad. I'm sorry. They're playing better, but they're still bad. Rams are bad. Playing better, still bad. Saints are bad. Bucks are bad. And then you can't even get back down. Giants, Commanders, Bears.
I think the Lions.
That bottom half of the NFC is terrible.
Yeah, I think the Lions are good, but I think it's a clear 2-horse race. I think it's going to be between the Niners and Eagles. We're going to see it this upcoming week. I think the Niners will win this week because the scriptwriters want the NFC to come down. They just want to close the gap between that 1 and 2 seed to make it interesting. So I think the Niners will win. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any team outside of the Niners or Eagles making the Super Bowl.
What about the Colts? Do you think the Colts are in the playoffs at the end of the year?
Dude, I haven't watched a single play of the Colts. I don't give a shit about that.
I think before you brought us on, Meisner, you said if the Ravens come out of the AFC North, the Colts aren't coming out as champs.
Did the Colts?
That
the Colts
Ravens
played
team is so good after watching him last night. All the haters about Lamar and his playoff, he can't play in the playoffs. That defense will keep him in it. That
Also
is
no.
like old Ravens defense right there.
You're both no Colts, no playoffs for the Colts this year.
I mean, have they played a game outside of the noon window yet this year? I've not even seen them play once.
Yes.
I think
the Germany game.
Okay.
I got another hot take.
What is it?
The Cowboys, they could fall from the 5 spot with their remaining schedule.
Who do they have?
Out of
And
the
that helps
playoffs?
the Vikings too if they win the NFC North. No. In the playoffs, but like if the Vikings keep winning and the Lions kind of decline where they want the AFC North to kind of be a battle, the Cowboys could sneaky fall down a little bit too. They'll win next week against the Seahawks. Then they have the Eagles, at the Bills, at the Dolphins. That's 3 straight that are going to be a challenge for a team that beats the shit out of bad teams and lays an egg sometimes against good teams.
Whoa. So your hot take is that the Cowboys will make the playoffs but just not be the 5 seed?
They could be 6 or 7. And they're not that good.
I think that's likely.
Really?
With that schedule, yeah, they can't beat good teams. I think that's
never
good.
mind then.
I think there's a great chance that they're the 6 or 7 seed. They suck
that
against
helps.
good teams.
That helps the Vikings for the playoffs if they keep winning.
I hope. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. They could get 2 games.
I'm here to say that Week 17 game when we play you guys in Minnesota, that's going to mean something. It ain't just going to be beat the Packers and move on to our playoffs. That might be a game to go.
That's Sunday night. I might be going to that game actually.
You know, I think there's a good chance for probably us and starters because we're going to have a playoff spot locked up.
Just kidding. Wrong game.
So it's going to mean something to the Packers. It ain't going to mean shit to the Vikes.
We still have Lions the week after that.
Oh, shit. Never mind. That's not the last game of the year. I thought that
We'll
Packers
beat the
game was
piss
last
out of the
game of the year.
Packers that week for good measure. Go 2-0.
You two are
So
something else.
you think – what's your take on Jordan Love? Is he going to get a big deal this offseason and you're going to keep him in Green Bay then?
Hey, Josh Dobbs, did you hear the podcast 30 minutes ago?
No, I was making dinner.
I said, let's let him ride out the year. He's very inconsistent. One game he looks like I could go out there, suit up, play better than him. And then the next game looks like Minnesota hasn't had a quarterback like that in years. So it's like, I don't know yet. I'm not fully out. I'm not fully in. I want to see him right out the year and see what he's got. But I like his trend line. I told Meisner, if this guy was a rookie, a true rookie, and you were looking at his stats and evaluating him as that, you'd probably have a different perspective on him.
I think he's going to suck you in for $25 million a year, and then he's going to stink.
You're going to pull a Daniel Jones on you.
No, we're not a Kirk Cousins franchise. We're not going to pay some mediocre quarterback millions and millions of dollars to just hang around
Kirk
and
was winning
not do
MVP
shit.
before he got hurt this year.
And not do shit. Bit fans and butts. My aunt had a dick. She'd be my uncle Sheets. He got hurt.
You need to talk to Hovick. He's part owner of
Nick.
the Packers.
Yeah, you do need to talk to Hovick.
You need, to have,
Let's
you need to have Hovick on the pod because
You guys got to go flip some burgers and talk it out.
talk about a roller coaster. Hovick was puking the night they drafted Jordan Love.
in our res room.
Yeah, he was talking a ton of shit about Jordan Love even coming into this year. You guys start off terribly, and now Hovick's like the biggest Jordan Love fan I've met. I'm like, dude, you can't even get this figured out. He has no idea what he wants.
Tell Mr. Clean to go watch some games first.
Here's where I'm at with that, Sheets. I walked around. I went to the Packers game earlier this year, walked around, looked at jerseys. There's really not anybody on the team that I'm like is young enough that I know is going to be there for a long time to buy their jerseys. So, and I did not buy a Jordan Love one, if that tells you anything. But let's get on. Yeah, he is good. He'd be a good jersey to have. But Meisner, when I texted these two about coming on tonight, they were all fucking hot and bothered and ready to give their props for our Lamb on the Line parlay.
Nice.
They said they had 2 locks. So for the listeners out
I
there,
didn't
you
say
can
that.
guaranteed locks
said I
at
had
at least
1.
the bottom 2.
I got 6 locks.
But But you
I've
can
been hot
mention the all six locks, but you got to pick one for the first ever 4-leg lamb on the line parlay.
Pick the best one.
The best one, and we'll start with you
All right.
down there.
I gotta
Passing
start
on.
with me.
Yep.
Well, somebody else go first. I don't know what my best one is yet. I got like three that I
I'll
like.
go first. You can call me goddamn Mr. Locksmith over here. All right. My lock of the night. Receiving yards, Ty Chandler over 10.5. Last week in Denver, 4 catches, 44 yards, somewhere in the mid 40s. Reports today he's going to have an increased role with Alexander Madison's fumble last week.
He sucks.
He's shown a lot of promise, Ty Chandler has. I could see the Vikings starting slow tonight and maybe going down to start, maybe down 10-0. They're going to have to start airing it out. Ty Chandler's going to play a lot of football. And, I mean, that 10 yards, 10.5 yards or 11 yards, that's one catch for him, really. So I'm alt spreading as well. You can get 40 plus at – let me check.
Are you going 40?
Sprinkle 40 plus 475 for Ty Chandler. But for the parlay, over 10.5.
For you FanDuel users, it's actually 11.5 now. That might be the same on DraftKings, but I do like that
10.
bet. I do think he's going to play a lot of
DraftKings
snaps
is
tonight.
10.5.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
that knocks off one of mine because one of mine was Ty Chandler, but not receiving yards.
So
That was one I considered also too. So we're off to a great start. That was awesome. That's a lock.
I was going to go his over 32.5 rushing yards too, but I don't think we can do two Ty Chandlers on the first 4-legger. I think I'll go over Hawkinson's 6.5 receptions on the night. Dobbs loves him, and last night he didn't get his, or not last night, last week he didn't get very many targets. So I think it'll be picked back up after this week, after a little bit longer week off, and Hawkinson can get his ribs healthy, so he's not dying every single play. But over 6.5 receptions.
I like it.
I like it. Meisner, I assume you want to go last, like usual?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we've taken 2 Vikings props. So who would have thunk 2 Vikings fans bring Vikings
I got some
props?
Bears ones.
So
I got one.
No, I listen. I love the bets. I'm just saying.
I can switch them up. I got the other one I was going for was a Bears one.
Well, I'm gonna go with a Bears one, and we're also gonna go receiving. I want to make sure I have the number right though. Hang on. Cole Kmet over 38.5 yards.
I don't like that.
I've seen some stuff on Cole Kmet. He's kind of that safety blanket for Fields.
He is very much so a safety blanket. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I have the over in a different bet. I think the Vikings play high-scoring games. I think Fields is going to let it loose, maybe have a good game. Let me ask you this then, because I was teetering on a different bet, but it was Fields rushing yards at 58.5. Which one do you like better?
Fields rushing yards was my other one that I was going to take.
I do like Fields. I mean, he had over 100 last week. And like I said,
Yeah.
I think he's really – right now he's literally playing for his job next year because they have one of those top picks. They could easily go quarterback. He's got to show them something if he wants to keep his job in Chicago.
Yep, I'm right. We're going to snatch the first pick. We're going to stick with Justin Fields, 58.5 over rushing yards. I think he is going to
Good call. I like that. Sheets.
run a lot more.
I like that a lot better.
So, Meisner, that leaves you for the last leg.
Okay, so we got Ty Chandler. We have what'd you have, Broden?
Hawkinson over 6.5 receptions.
Okay. Do we want to double up on Hawk? Because I think he's I like the receiving yards are a lock too, 65.5. I think
All
he's
right.
gonna play. Or I could go, I mean, I don't know if you want to, we have to do all props. Otherwise, I could go something with the game too. We could do like an alternate spread or something too. But if it's a prop, that was what I would go with. I liked what Solkin had there with Chandler. That was what I was going to do. And then unfortunately you can't parlay some of the other props that I like. I like Josh Dobbs passing attempts over, but you can't parlay that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Hawkinson, the yards too. I know we're doubling up, but that's
His
I like
yards.
yeah.
Hey, I like doubling up in positions like that because if he's getting 65.5 yards, the odds of him probably having 7 receptions are pretty high. So I like that. So we've got Ty Chandler over 11.5 or 10.5, depending on what you got it at. TJ Hawk over 6.5 receptions. Justin Fields over 58.5 rushing yards. TJ Hawk over 65.5 receiving yards puts you at plus 678.
All right.
As always, bet responsibly. First ever 4-legger, so it'd be nice. If this one hits, that's a big number at plus 678. But
What units are you boys putting on this? How many units?
I put 1.5 units on every single lamb in the line parlay.
All right, that's what I'm doing too.
Let's do it.
All right.
I think I might throw an extracurricular on Ty Chandler rushing yards too.
Put the rushing yards on there too. I like
Not on there, separately from the lamb on the line.
I like pass separately. I like pass Josh Dobbs over pass attempts. And other than that, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We got a double dose of Vikings as they take on an NFC North battle rival, the Chicago Bears. It's in Minneapolis, right?
Yep.
All right. So it's gonna be rocking up north. Monday Night Football. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks everybody who came in and watched. Thanks for those who got up in the comments today. It was a good episode. And go enjoy Monday Night Football. Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings. That's it for